So I'm going to pass the mic over to the great professor from UCR. Please, everyone, give a warm welcome to Kathy Gudis.
Thank you, Angie. Angie is very shy, as you can tell. And I really want to thank her and Peace Edge for being here and putting this together, and for all the work that you do and all the words that we've heard from community members that are also part of the Climates of Inequality show, which is downstairs. So the Climates of Inequality is an exhibition that has been in the making for 6 years. It's one outcome, but it's really about the process. And the process is that 500 students came together with different environmental justice groups and different faculty members in 22 different localities in the United States, Mexico, Colombia, and that network is growing. So the exhibition is trying to offer local stories about environmental justice, which is why we're here today also to get more local, to offer more stories in the hopes that we can raise our voices together in order to both recognize community and community pushback against environmental injustices, and in particular, to look at the deep roots, the deep historical roots of how we got to where we are today in terms of climate and the environment. So that's what the exhibit is about. That's what today is about in part. And what I'd like to do also, because I am a historian, and so that comes with a lot. It comes with a lot of talking, and it also comes with the really pressing need to offer education as a way to build change makers, and especially do it across different generations. So I want to acknowledge where we're standing, where we're sitting, and to respectfully acknowledge and recognize our responsibility to the original and current caretakers of this land, water, and air, the Cahuilla, Tongva, Luiseño, and Serrano peoples, and all of their ancestors and descendants, past, present, and future. Today, this meeting place is home to many indigenous people from around the world, and we're grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on these homelands. Just a quick note to say that the building we're standing in is actually made out of concrete. So we can even look around us and say, this concrete was actually mined from what Native people, what Cahuilla call the Hill of the Ravens, or Calport cement, as it's been operative from the 1910s through the 1990s. And so that extraction from the land and the labor is part of what we also want to acknowledge, right? That the very building that we're in is about that indigenous history, removal, displacement, and coerced labor. With that, we'll get a little lighter and say thank you to all of you for coming, and also to a few people who funded. You heard Drew mention studies about lungs. Well, the funder for this program from UCR, UC Riverside, where I teach, very generously gave money to support programs related to environmental justice in the IE. They also have given money in the past to what many people here know about, which are the first studies of youth, newborns, as they trace their lung development. And so the Pollitts, Teresa and Byron Pollitt, have been funding that, and also the new UCR Medical Center, where once again, they're very committed to doing research related to regional issues around impacts of air quality and some of the other issues we'll talk about today. So with that, I want to pass it over back to Angie, who I think you introduced yourself as from Peace Edge.
I didn't do the formal, I'm still trying to get over this shy stage, so new me, new thing, y'all. Okay, so I know it's so funny I can't even say with a straight face. No point intended. All right, so yes, let's get our artivism on. And we want to make sure we're not only just to, check out the art, and stuff, but also uplift, not only uplift art, but peace, but make sure we're uplifting our story, right? our story, our history that usually doesn't get put into the books and in part of their history, right? So we want to make sure we're uplifting that. And anything to do with art and advocacy just to me really gets me going. And the great thing about the panel today is the folks that we have joining us today are not only activists, organizers, but they're artists in their own way as well. From photography to art to performance to just creativeness, right? So we're gonna get to know them a little bit more. And thank you. Uh, so Bloomington, we have this great advocate and organizer by the name of Ana Carlos, who is a longtime Bloomington resident and teacher in the IE. She is well connected with her community through her work, her love of farm and agricultural lifestyle, and her advocacy. So Anna is a part of a group led by many residents called Concerns Citizens of Bloomington. And I will hand the mic over to Anna. So Anna could talk a little bit more about yourself and introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ana Carlos. I'm a mom, a teacher in the Inland Empire group in the Inland Empire. And the way I got started connecting with the with concerned neighbors of Bloomington is neighbors of mine had a lot in their backyard that was zoned for residential housing to be coming in. And they received a notice from the county saying that soon there would be a giant warehouse in their backyard. And so they're the ones that started Concerned Neighbors of Bloomington. They started, going to the church, going street door to door, knocking on neighbors' doors saying, hey, do you know about this? And a lot of neighbors, of course, didn't. And it wasn't until maybe 2 years later where we really discovered the great scheme of things, that it wasn't just the warehouse behind his backyard. It was basically all of our neighborhoods, South Bloomington, 213 acres of residential homes that were to be demolished to be turned into warehouses. And these weren't empty lots. These were people's homes. These were, homes with families. And even though the families did not want their homes to be rezoned, or they weren't even thinking of selling their houses, San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors still voted this through. The developer just put in the application, said, hey, I want this area to be, my future warehouses. And the residents, the owners, they didn't have a say. The Board of Supervisors approved this project 1 year ago. And little by little, they've started to demolish homes. And soon we'll have millions and millions of square feet in our residential agricultural neighborhood. It's now rezoned to industrial commercial.
Thank you so much, Anna. Let's give a round of applause to Anna and all the folks from CNB, the Concerns Citizens of Bloomington, and for all the work they're doing. Neighbors, I always keep messing it up. Check yourself, Angie. Sorry about that. And next, I'm going to introduce one of my colleagues and also a resident of a great little city here right off the 10 freeway called Colton. So with us from We Are Colton is Darby Osnaya, and has lived in occupied Tongva land in the IE since 1993. They have been environmentally conscious since childhood due to their upbringing with, what is that? Sorry. Parents who are very recyclist parents, and parents who have, really, I guess, embracing you like to take care of Mother Earth and so forth. With social conscience ingrained in their mind early in life, they got into activism at an early age. So I'll hand it over to Darby Osnaya to so they could introduce themselves and their coalition. We are Colton. Darby.
Thank you. Gracias, Angie. Yes, my name is Darby Osnaya, any and every pronoun. And yes, I am from Colton, been there since 1993. I was born in LA, but we were part of the big 90s move out here of a lot of folks being pushed out because of slumlords. And we got a house in Colton. And like how we can hear the freeway here, my house is right next to the train tracks. So I want to thank everyone that is here. Thank you all for giving up your Sunday afternoon and coming here. And please save me some tacos. I want to thank everybody that's here at the panel. And yes, just history with Colton. There's just a lot going on there. We have a couple other founders here. My girls, Amy and Emily. And hey, we go way back to teenage angst years. But yes. So Colton has just been a hot mess, from its inception, which is colonizer inception, with pushing out the Tongva people, to push in the white people, and then people who are indigenous but rebranded as New Mexican. They brought in the New Mexican folks to push out the native folks, and just the structure of white supremacy that is basically the history that is USA. But Colton definitely follows that. They love being a railroad town, even though we get nothing out of it besides pollution. So it's just been it's just been disheartening, but you see it everywhere. I love seeing the display below, the exhibit, showcasing that we're in solidarity with everybody else. We're not doing this alone. And I love seeing all the movements all over the world. But yes, more about Colton. A few years ago, my girls there, myself, with help with Angie and a couple other Colton residents. Some are not as active as others. We decided to form We Are Colton, just to put out what's going on with politics, what's going on with city politics, what's going on with local culture. And right now we are doing like I said, we're always doing the work. We're showing up at city councils. We're trying to get more people involved and informed. One of our founders started a program called The Air I Breathe, where we're monitoring the air that students are breathing in Colton City Unified School District, as well as now we're working with IE Theater Solstice. That's more of our fun project. We're going to be doing Shadow Puppets theater in December for the winter solstice and in summer for the summer solstice. So we try to do things differently. We don't try to just do one thing. And we try to include everything that's going on culturally and in Colton so that folks don't get bored with just one situation. I'm a fan of promoting, thank you, gracias. I'm a fan of promoting intersectionality. None of this is siloed. We're all in it together. If it's immigrant rights, LGBT rights, environmental rights, you name it, it's all intersectional. I'll leave it at that for now.
Thank you so much, Darby. And yes, I've had the privilege to work alongside Darby and Emily and Amy and with the creation of We Are Colton. But Darby and I go back 15 years and the work that we've done here in the IE and the LGBTQ movement. But we're still 21. Don't forget that part now. And just to be mindful, I have a habit of going real like E40 real fast, but let's try to make sure our translator is able to capture everything. And I'm trying to hold myself accountable. All right, next but certainly not least is another colleague of mine, and where's your little bio? I don't. All right, let's intro the one and only Brenda Huerta Soto, A.K. Styles, Brenda Styles. And for those that don't know, well, you will know. Brenda Soto migrated from Mexico City and currently resides at East LA. Brenda graduated from UCR, of course, another Highlander. Give it up. Whereas a student advocate served for 3 years as the UC Riverside representative for UC Undocumented Student Coalition. All right. And through this role, Brenda collected advocated for more resources for undocumented students, such as legal support, mental health services, and scholarships. But not only that, Brenda is doing a lot of great work with a coalition called San Bernardino Airport Communities. So, Brenda, tell us a little bit more about yourself and about the coalition you're working with.
Thank you, Angie. Just like Angie, I'm very shy. I don't usually speak in panels. But someone once told me, even if your voice is cracking, even if your legs are shaking, we need to talk about these kind of topics. We need to have these kind of conversations. So I'm very glad to be here today with y'all. I'm also an organizer with the People's Collective for Environmental Justice. And like Angie said, I organize with the San Bernardino Airport communities. Through my role, we are organizing alongside residents and talking about the rapid development of warehousing that we have going on in the Inland Empire. I know that oftentimes politicians try to tell us that we need more warehouses to bring more jobs. And that's the narrative that they try to push on us, and that's the narrative that they try to tell us. But our communities want something different. We need to address the air pollution. We need to address the low wages. We need to address the fact that people are getting displaced because warehouses are occupying people's lands and people's homes. So, in my role as an organizer, that's what I do. I talk to people and we build relationships and we inform people about what's happening because it's very important that we center people's voices and that we think about holistic solutions to the problem that we're facing right now. So that's the role that I have as an organizer, and I'm very glad to be here with y'all today.
All right. Thank you, Brenda. So I know y'all mentioned a little bit of things that you're all working on as individuals and maybe with your coalitions or your organizations or resident groups. But what are maybe one or two of the things, and I know some of you have mentioned, but maybe go a little bit more into it, are that your community, especially here in the IE, are facing and that you see. We'll go ahead and start with you, Brenda, if you want to grab that mic, because I'm done sharing.
Can you hear me? Yeah, so in the San Bernardino airport communities, we are organizing with San Bernardino residents who live near the airport. At the moment, there was a project that they were proposing called the Airport Gateway Specific Plan, which was 9.2 million square feet of warehousing and industrial zone that was going to displace more than 2,500 residents. And what's going on in San Bernardino is that we have different agencies that are also making decisions and that they tend to be secretive. People don't know much about them because it is with intention, right? Oftentimes, the government doesn't want us to know what's going on. They don't want to tell us what's happening in our communities. So through my role, we have done a lot of canvassing, just talking to people at their doors. We have been getting them involved and we have organized them. And one of the biggest things about organizing is not just mobilizing people to a city council meeting. It's not just about mobilizing them to a meeting. It's about building relationships and it's about moving at the speed of trust. And it's also about having oftentimes uncomfortable conversations with residents, right? Because the media and the government want to blame a certain community for things that happen in our communities, but that's not the case. We need to think about systematically how did we got to the point that we're facing right now. We need to think about what are some of the steps that oftentimes elected officials and developers take to displace community members, to have more warehouses in our communities. And so that's what we do. We have spoke to community members about the situations that we're facing in the city of San Bernardino. And actually, a few days ago, we found out that they killed the project, that they were not gonna do the project anymore. And they claim because one of the cities, the city of Highland, didn't want to do a relocation plan for the residents. But we know it's because we have organized. We are organizing. This didn't came out of their good hearts. They didn't woke up one day and decided that they were not gonna do it anymore. I mean, come on, this is something that they've been planning for more than 10 years. So we know this is because we are organizing, because people are informed, because they're questioning the steps that they're taking. And just want to give a big shout out to the community who has been involved. A big shout out to my colleagues who have also been on the ground day by day, on the weekends, on the evening, because all of that, it's the effort of the community that has made a big impact. However, we need to stay vigilant because they oftentimes change their strategies, right? They try to do things under the ground without people noticing. They want to use this as a tactic for people to think that, oh, it's not happening anymore. But if it's not this project, it's the next one. And there's always going to be a project. So we want to make sure that we're not just reactive, but we're also proactive, and that we continue to organize no matter what.
Thank you, Brenda. Ana Carlos?
So same thing as Brenda. When we first heard about the project, we were a couple of neighbors united, and Bloomington isn't a city, so we're an unincorporated part of San Bernardino County. So we don't have a city council. We have a Bloomington Municipal Advisory Council. So we went to them, and we went ahead and gave public comment, and we were telling them how most of the neighbors didn't agree to this, and right away we saw like a weird opposition. They were not on our side. So that was really eye-opening for us, because here we are, a group of neighbors thinking, let's go do our civic duty. Let's go have our voices heard, hear the people who live in the community. And right away we were met with opposition. And little by little, we're discovering the corruption that exists. San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors, they've had this big plan all along, and someone who we voted for that should be working for us, for the people, he already was not on our side. The developers had already, as soon as he won his position, they had already taken him on a tour of Bloomington to show him their vision for the future of Bloomington. And Bloomington, for many years, I mean, we're a small rural town, and we have horses and big lots, and no sidewalks, and people were okay with that, because we know that we're a small community, and there's never money. But really, I think that the big picture was that they were purposely neglecting us. They had a big plan for us, and they weren't thinking of bringing in sewers or lights or sidewalks or more housing, because they knew what was coming. And so that for me has been the biggest struggle, that we did unite a lot of neighbors. We had hundreds and hundreds of petitions and public comment, and people of all languages coming together, people of all ages, and really feels like all that the work that we did was just for them to check off their check marks. But I mean, through it, we've learned a lot. We've come together as a community. But I think that's the biggest struggle for us.
Thank you, Anna. Appreciate it. Also, I'm sure being unincorporated brings a whole different headaches, right? A lot of like when you go to push back or appeal something. Let me get this right. If not, our policy person's gonna have some words with me. Like a DERC, right? Or I'm sure they like, no, you have to go see so and so and so and so. So I mean, it already is like that with a city, but I could just imagine with an unincorporated, right? You run into different problems. All right. Darby.
Thank you.
Colton.
Right. Thank you for that, Angie, and thank you, Brenda, and thank you, Anna, for sharing that perspective as well. Yes, I've been to some of the Bloomington MAC meetings. It is what it is, and I've supported San Bernardino as well, and it is better when you are incorporated, and my heart goes out to Bloomington because I know they pay a lot into taxes that go into the county that don't get funneled back into the community, and then they get gaslit into saying, well, you don't have enough money, that's why we can't take care of stuff. And I want to honor that because that's a bunch of BS. And for those close enough to see or with amazing vision, I do have my fabulous politicians are trash button. I will say it to any politician's face, to their face, y'all trash. So, but trash can be compostable, you know? It can be recyclable, it can be reused, it can be reduced, what have you. Because that is some of my background. I know Angie mentioned it before about like having parents. Like I have the, in a way, stereotypical parents, immigrant parents. They don't throw nothing away. Everything gets reused. Everything has a new purpose. Like we have old toilets before people started doing this as, you know, white people fancy art. We have old toilets that are planters. You know, we have old jack-o'-lantern trick-or-treat buckets that are planters. We have just all this random stuff. Like I go to Theo's Tacos and I'm like, y'all ain't different. Like I go to Theo's Tacos, they're fabulous, but it's like I'm like, this is home for me, and I'm grateful that I have parents like that, that have a green thumb and that reuse, reduce, and it's not to prove anything. It's not to show off. It's not to be like, mírame a mí, look at me, look what I'm doing for the environment. It's just the culture, because it's just when you broke, you don't throw anything away. You gotta reuse it, and you know, and anything that we have now that we take for granted, like you know, it's the working class. You know, we're the ones that are the inventors. But yeah, in Colton we have a lot of that. So we have a lot of working class folks, and we have a lot of folks that get busy because it's a bedroom community. Bedroom community means that you go there to sleep. You don't really go there to coexist. You go to other counties, you go to other cities to work, and that was me for the longest time. But now I am grateful. I do work with PSEDGE. I do work from home and work, you know, either in local cities. But yeah, I was commuting to Orange County, to LA, and I didn't have time to get involved. So it's insidious because I know the city of Colton knows this, and they take advantage of that. So a lot of us can't make it to the meetings, can't make it to, you know, even though they start after 5 o'clock or at 6, still, like, you're stuck in traffic. Like, you get out of Orange County at 5 o'clock, are you gonna get here by 6? Anybody who knows is like, no. You get out of LA at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, you're not gonna make it for at least another 2 to 3 hours. So it's very insidious that Colton, a bedroom community, people who work away, they don't try to get more stuff. We have limited real estate to really have more jobs, for more creation. Our downtown is a bust, but they don't see what they can do better. They've just been selling themselves short to manufacturers, to warehouses, to Walmart. They love Walmart. Ashley Furniture as well. And those jobs aren't paying us. You know, those jobs are being subsidized by the government, by taxes, because everybody who works there still needs to go and get, you know, government aid, which I'm all for. You know, it's like I'm more about social programs than, you know, most people are, but still, like, when you think about it from a capitalistic perspective, shouldn't these jobs be providing everything so that the government, the city, isn't falling short? But they don't. And it's sickening to see what these these corporations pay, because they do pay into the what's it called? They buy off the politicians. They pay for their campaigns, what have you. It'd be like $5,000. They're literally selling us for $5,000. I'm like, girl, like, really? Like 5,000? No. Like, at least add like four more zeros after that if you're gonna sell us out. Like, but they're really selling us out for pennies, and it just goes to show how much they don't care for themselves because they live in these communities, or they care for us. One win we did have is, but once again, like, they're insidious. You know, BNSF, I believe, was supposed to extend railroads because of the high-speed rail that's supposedly going to be coming through California, who knows when. But they were going to move around rail lines, so recreating railroads or creating new railroads, and one of them they were looking at Colton. And we did fight it a lot. One of our founders, Jem Montes, she's fabulous. She has given us a lot of information on that, and she has called them out. Like, no, you're targeting us. They were targeting Colton. They were not looking at any other place to put this rail line. And they're supposed to do that. They're supposed to look at other places like, okay, where else can we move things around? They had already been gung-ho about it. So supposedly it's dead. But once again, I'd like to think it's because of the community effort, but I also think there's more to it, and it's one of those things we got to be vigilant. Um, we had a warehouse moratorium in Colton for a while, and we were vigilant and on top of it, but they had a closed ad hoc committee to discuss the moratorium, and nothing really came of it. The moratorium ended, and now they're discussing about putting in 2 refrigerated huge warehouses. One of them is going to be about 7 stories high on Aguamanza Road, and that's a historical road in Colton. So it's just one of those, like, you always got to be cautious, because for 2 years we're like, yeah, we have this moratorium, but like, what are we doing about it? And we would bug them and tell them, hey, what's up, and then they pulled this BS on us. So we're staying on top of it. We're calling them out. We're telling them we don't want this, and we are getting more folks involved. But it's a struggle, and I get it. My heart goes out to my Colton residents, my fellow neighbors, because it's a struggle to get folks involved, and a lot of folks have felt backlash, that they can prove that is linked to people in power in Colton. So a lot of people back away because of that, and it's so sad. It's so sad how insidious a lot of local politicians can be, and for pennies. I'm like, you have one life to live here, and this is what you're gonna do.
All right, thank you, Darby. My next question for y'all, and whoever wants to take this question, I would like to know, how do you see this movement work towards the growth and health of our communities? If whoever would like to answer it.
Yeah, I think for me, as an organizer, I don't really tell people, go out and vote. That's gonna make the change. Go out and vote. I have lost faith in politicians a long time ago, and I don't think the system is really gonna be the change that we need. You can really modify what's been years of oppressions. And I think for me, it's the organizing. Just people organize. In the Inland Empire, we have seen oftentimes that developers come to the communities and they tell people, this is what you need. We're creating jobs, we are making things better for you. And you have the same thing with the politicians. We're creating more jobs, this is what we need. And they are displacing people. They are pretty much getting rid of homes to put warehouses in our communities. And I just want to take this time to also recognize what's happening to the people of Palestine, because our movements are connected. If you think that that doesn't have to do anything with you, that is wrong. Our movements are connected. We cannot be free until all of us are free, right? And what's happening to the people in Palestine, it's not a war, it's not a conflict. This is genocide, and we have to recognize what's happening. And also, I have so much faith in the people that have continued to just resist what's happening, but also continue to organize. And I think that's something that keeps me going, just knowing that we have each other and that we can make big changes in our communities. But yeah, I think one of the most important things is that we continue to be in solidarity with each other, to continue resist what's happening, to continue resist white supremacy, capitalism, and all the other systems that continue to put our communities aside. And we just need to continue taking space. Not just voting, that's not the only solution. And I don't think that's a solution. It's getting involved and organizing. That's the real change. That's the one tool that we have to continue fighting what's ahead of us.
Thank you, Brenda. All right, that one's, yeah. Go ahead. If you feel like clapping, go ahead, do the wave. let's express ourselves. It's artivism, right? But I do want to uplift everything that Brenda said, and I do agree with it all. And that's why our voice and our vote is so powerful, right? We put these people into position, right? And the way you voted for them is the same way you could evict them out. We could take them out. I call it community eviction. That's how we take back our power. We take them out. Yeah, politicians, except for one. But the rest, híjole, híjole. Um, so my next question, and I would love for each one of y'all to share because I think this is one of those questions that's very important. And I also, as organizers and activists, advocates, we sometimes don't step back and um, look at what we've um, done and worked alongside with community to accomplish. So let's uplift some of those. What are the joys, successes you've seen in your community through these projects? What keeps you going? What helps you thrive? And then some of those wins, or I mean, wins could be anything. They could be people think a simple thing is like getting translation, like, oh, why is that a win? That's a win because you know how many people maybe don't go to certain meetings because there's no translation accessible for them. There's so just something as simple as translation is a huge, I think, deal and win. So if y'all could, what are the joys and successes you have seen in your community through these projects? What keeps you going, and what helps you thrive in this work? Where would like to start?
A win for us would be, even though that this project passed a year ago, it would have passed way sooner if it wasn't for the community coming together. Um, Usually these kinds of projects, you get a notice in the mail, like from the county, what is this? And you kind of just ignore it, or you're like, oh, it doesn't pertain to me. So this project, we've been fighting it for at least 7 years, myself, 6 years. But this would have passed a long time ago if it wasn't for the community coming together and, you know, making it known, because obviously the Bloomington Mac wasn't telling the community the real truth. The supervisors were not knocking door to door to tell the residents what they thought about this. So it would have passed a long time ago. And just a win is informing the community about all these negative projects that are coming in. For example, the very first warehouse that started it all, that's an Amazon, and it's now just an empty warehouse because they're preparing it for automation. So they've actually, moved all the workers. It's been sitting empty for at least a year now, and they're just trying to revamp all the conveyor belts, and they're getting it ready for automation. So, the neighbors are waking up and they're saying, this is what's coming. So just that community involvement, getting to know neighbors, um, going through all of this with neighbors, and just being in community is it's what I liked going through with my community members.
Thank you so much for that, Anna. I agree. I've met a lot of amazing people, some of which are here. Through the work that I've done, I've reconnected with folks. I reconnected with a friend that I made out here in Riverside, working in solidarity with Bloomington. And same thing with San Bernardino. I have family in San Bernardino, so it's like one of my friends said earlier. It's a small world. It's especially out here in the IE, we're a lot more connected than we think. Just now, I just met somebody who has a connection to Agua Manta, to the cemetery up there. It's like we're that's why I always push intersectionality. So that is definitely a win for me, is the connecting and reconnecting with community, and that is also for the previous answers. For the previous question, that's also my same answer, is that I love seeing community get together for other things, because I get it can be very draining to always be coming together for a lot of these uphill battles. So it's always great that we can come together and have stuff like this, where we have tacos and we have art and we have a panel and we have other things for other folks to be able to do. Because I get it, this is very heavy stuff. And I also want to, share as well solidarity with Palestine, and what's happening over there is genocide. We see it in Hawaii, I've also lost track of what's going on with Lahaina because of what's going on in Palestine. But then it's not just that. It's also El Salvador with a lot of the Bitcoin people, right? They're all trying to go out there. When you look at it, it's like we're playing whack-a-mole, and it's like, but it's all over. The solidarity must be there, and doing the work. The win is being able to get that solidarity, working with a company like PSEDGE that has solidarity and works with other orgs internationally as well, or is trying to. So, and I'm not the expert there, so you can talk to other PSEDGE folks that will tell you more about what we do on the international front, but. Like, what was it, a month or so ago, the EPA was out here, and they were trying to pull, they said the loud part, well, they said the quiet part loud to me, because they were talking about doing a toxic tour they had done out here in the IE. They're going to do one in the Long Beach, LA port area. And then when I told them I wasn't going to go to that, they're like, oh yeah, because LA doesn't go to IE, and IE doesn't go to LA, that stupid ass trope. And I was like, no, it's because I'm doing this in my neighborhood and blah, blah, blah. And we actually have other colleagues that are going there. Because, like, you can see there's people from LA out here at this toxic tour. So, no, we do have solidarity. Don't believe, but they already come with that mentality, with that divide and conquer mentality of, like, nobody from IE is going to be in LA, no one from LA is going to be IE. Same thing with San Diego, OC, and other areas. So I love to be able to say that to them, like, no, we do have some solidarity, we do know each other, we do support each other. Don't think that you're going to tell them one thing, because what they do a lot too is like, well, we'll just reroute it to LA, we'll reroute it over here. That's where the whack-a-mole is. It's like, oh, like, which community is going to be the one to suffer so that your community doesn't? So that's why it's great to be loud, but it's also great to be in solidarity, so that way, our win isn't somebody else's loss. I'll leave it at that for now.
Yeah, I think for us, well, the win is that we killed the project that we were fighting against. But also, just yesterday we had a community barbecue against displacement, and although it was an opportunity to celebrate and be with community, it was also an opportunity to think about the solutions that community members want to see. And this conversation didn't just take place yesterday; it's a conversation that we had with community members at their homes. They've been hosting house meetings. We have canvassing. We have done a lot of actions just to get more people involved. And so for us, that's a win. That people are still engaged and that we are thinking about holistic solutions that people want to see in our communities. And also, we have been dismantling a lot of the agencies that exist and that are making decisions for people, like the Inland Valley Development Agency, that it's an agency that it's operating, that its purpose is to operate secretly, right? Like they're not telling people what things they're doing. The meetings are at 3 p.m., no translation. We go to those meetings and we have filled up the room with community members. We have pushed them to change the meeting time at 5 p.m. And now they're going to be including translation. And we had attended meetings where a lot of the developers are hostile. They're telling us that we don't know what we're talking about. They're mocking us. They're laughing at people for speaking all in Spanish. And it's really uncomfortable to be in spaces with them. But we know that we have to be there. And we know that they're intentionally doing those tactics so we don't come back. But we come back and we take space because they don't know anything about the community. They don't even know the streets. They don't even know the neighborhoods. They don't know nothing. And so we're there to tell them, this is what we want and this is what we need. And you're not going to come and tell us what to do. And just like being able to be in community, it's amazing. And I also have the pleasure to organize on the ground with a couple of organizers that are sitting here today. So I just want to give them a quick shout out because we're mighty, but we have done so many great things. So Tanya, Delia, Enrique, Kevin, Julieta, so proud and grateful to be working with them and organizing in San Bernardino with them.
Awesome. Yeah. Shout out to all the folks out here. I won't get all Art LeBeau on you and make, start shouting out names, but give it up for everyone out here doing the work on the ground. All right. And thank you again, everyone, for all that. I know this work is very heavy. This work is very, there's just a lot of big fires, little fires that as individuals we have to put out because we can't rely on these decision makers. We can't rely on these politicians. We can't rely on folks. Sometimes it sucks because sometimes it's the people with not those resources like they have who have to push the envelope, who have to make things happen, right? It always is on the burden of the community. So, and that's what they want. They want us just to try to keep our heads above water and burn out so they could keep and just have us to where we don't see anything else because we're just so busy and consumed with life and just trying to survive so they could do all their bullshit on the side, right? And they could keep piling and piling shit on us all the time without us even realizing or being able to take that breath and be like, oh, what the heck happened here, right? Because they want us to be that busy and that consumed. So thank you all. And the biggest thing I encourage is making sure you take the time to love yourself, heal yourself and your family, and do for you because it's a lot. It's a lot. And we can't fix everything, but it's sad that we even have to do what we have to do, right? Everyone, my last question to you is, what does community engagement look like to you? What does it mean to you?
I think for me, community engagement is not coming as an organizer to tell people this is what we need or these are the steps we need to take to see the solutions happen. It's about centering the voices of the community. And myself, I'm a community member. I'm not an outside person. I'm not a savior, and I'm trying to organize alongside community. So for me, it's being able to organize alongside community members, especially in San Bernardino, where I've been organizing for a couple of years now, and just being able to think about what kind of solutions we want to see happen in San Bernardino and how we can make that happen. And not just mobilizing people to a meeting, but building that relationship with them, moving at the speed of trust. I think that's really important to do this kind of work. We know a lot of members now from San Bernardino. We go to their homes, we visit them, we talk to them, we have house meetings with them, we're organizing alongside them. And I think for me, that's what community engagement means.
Thank you, Brenda.
For me, community engagement is just coming together, knowing what's going on in our community. A lot of times there are people who speak other languages, and just having that communication. A lot of times these neighbors are intimidated to go to a San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors meeting or even stand in front of the city council, the MAC, and they find that courage, and we'll translate for you, or Peace Edge will find someone to translate for you, and they get just that courage to go and know that they're in solidarity. They have us backing them up, and that their voice is important, just like any other community member.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Anna, because y'all helping me answer too. So I agree. Um, for me, community engagement is about intent. It's not just showing up. It's what's my intent. What do I intend to do? For every event or for every door-to-door canvassing or phone banking or text banking, what's the point? What's my intention? That's where I ground myself, because if it's like inviting people out to a music workshop, it's going to be more what's it called? It's going to be more fun. And my intention is to get people to come out and to get together and harmonize, literally, for a music workshop. Or is it going to be more serious, where I'm going and talking to people for the city council or MAC or San Bernardino County meeting? Then okay, I have to be a little bit more serious. I have to let them know that I have to be able to meet them halfway, and that I'm able to do that, because I know for some people, like they said, it can be intimidating. And then other fun stuff as well, like this right here. This to me is community engagement, this panel. And I always, always, always think about what we can do to feed folks. Let's make sure people are fed, especially for events. That there's refreshments, and that we're accessible, and that we are working with folks and their different capacities and abilities and disabilities. Stuff like that, and always thinking of ways that we can do better, and being open to suggestions, open for folks to tell us, like, hey, you could do this better, or hey, how can we help you? Whatever, we're open. If somebody wants to work with us to help us make things better, facilitate things for other folks that we may be keeping out unintentionally, because that's never the intent. The intent is to have everybody here, everybody's voice is heard. And yeah, community engagement is about meeting the community members where they're at, and always just putting my ego aside. And that was something, like, thank you for bringing up the savior stuff, because as somebody who was brought up and socialized as male, we have this savior complex that is instilled in us, and we have to get rid of that. We ain't nobody's saviors. We got to be our own savior, and that's about it. Like with everybody else, we're their sidekick. So we are not captain, nobody, and nobody's story besides our own. We're everybody else's sidekick. So always check your ego, and and try to be as respectful as possible. And another thing I always remember is I am not a veterinarian. I am not a farm worker. So I do not deal with jackasses. So if someone's being rude or whatever, be like, okay, pues I ain't Dr. Doolittle. I don't speak, yo no hablo eso. Like, I don't speak jackass. So it's just something that I've started reminding myself, and it goes back to some story, and I'm not going to get into that, but it's a funny story. But that was like the end of it. It's like, you're going to get punished because you're going toe to toe with a jackass. So that's you're going to be the one that ends up paying the price for it. So I'm like, why am I going to do that? No. So it's just one of those, like, I just have learned to be like, okay, well, thank you for your time. Hasta luego, and but hopefully that can be of help to other folks, because I get it, especially with politicians. And sometimes we have to get the Dr. Doolittle to translate for us because they're jackasses. Except for one, of course.
Except for one. Except for one. No comment. No. Thank you. Let's give our panelists a round of applause, y'all.
Okay, go for it. Hi, my name is Marilyn De La Cruz. I happen to work at a city that has a climate action plan, and what I've noticed is that there's a lot of grant opportunities in which community-based organizations need to be part of the equation. So I wanted to know, have you guys had any success in, coming to the table with any of the agencies that you guys are battling with? Because it seems it's been a lot of uphill battles, but I wanted to know if that's something that's on your radar, as if you guys are trying to make your presence known, let the community's voice, community members have a voice. Are you guys looking that far ahead into seeing how you guys can be a part of solutions through grants, through the work that you do to bring community members' voice to the tables when it comes to grants? I know it's long-winded, but wanted to see what you guys thought about that.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. So the air I breathe, that's one of those. It's we're getting grants, and we're working for future funding for it, and that is where we have 6th to 12th grade students from Colton, and we're down to expand. We're Colton, so we're small, but yeah, they're 6th to 12th graders. They wear it for a week. They wear an air monitor, and we analyze and study, and they do journals. There's a whole program to it. It's a project, but yeah. So that's one thing we're doing. We are Colton has met with the EPA, as well as PSEDGE, who has done toxic tours with EPA, CARB, California Air Resource Board, and we're constantly always with AQND working with them or yelling at them. But yes, something to be mindful of. And I know we have amazing folks at PSEDGE and other folks here that do more of the stuff behind that. I'm more boots on the ground. And that's my quick part.
Alongside with PSEDGE, they helped us also apply and get a grant. And what we did with that was we did a community audit. So we were, surveying the amount of trucks and taking surveys from the community. So that was something that we did do alongside PSEDGE. And what we did with the information is we gave it to the Board of Supervisors and we presented it to the community. And this year we actually followed up with that again. We're continuing the grant and hopefully it's a tool for the community, just so that they could know what's going on.
Sorry, I'm just very interested in this topic. But do you guys have any issues in terms of internal capacity as a community-based organization? I know I've been on some California EPA calls when a lot of CBOs want to be involved, want to get these grants, but they're struggling with we don't have the capacity internally and having to figure out how to create that working relationship with other agencies to see who can bring what to the table to have that, I guess, strong application. So I wanted to learn more about capacity building.
I think that's
Short answer, yes. Yes, and that's the system working how it's supposed to work to burn us all out. But I think that's it goes straight to what we're doing with San Bernardino Coalition.
Yeah, I can answer the last question. For us, we are thinking about creating a stipends for the community leaders who are also organizers. We know that a lot of them have an 8 to 5 job, even 2 jobs, and they're still taking time to organize. And we believe that people should get paid. If you're doing this job, you should get paid. Why not? If we have the money, if there's money out there, we should get paid. And I think it's an opportunity to also invest in the community, to be able to make sure that people are not burned out. PSEDGE, it is a small organization. We are growing, but as we're growing, we also know that the work also expands. So I think that's also an opportunity to create opportunities for the community members to get involved and also to get paid.
all right. Thank you. Any other questions for our lovely panelists? If not, they will be signing autographs now. Woo! All right. Let's give it up.
Thank you for those questions.
Yes, thank you so much. And if you don't mind me asking, what city are you from? Rancho?
Rancho Cucamonga.
Okay. So that concludes our event today, but I do want to make sure, folks, if you have not checked out the exhibit below here or visited the Cheech Marion Museum, please do so. I want to thank our food vendors for feeding us. Muchas gracias. And the panelists, we do have a little something for you. Where's como la flor? Andrea? So thank you once again. Thank you to everyone. Please, if you have not visited the museums, do so.